Hello, and thank you for joining today's virtual educational program with Cancer Support Community Los Angeles. I am Edlyn Rodarte, and I am the Virtual Program Associate at CSCLA. I welcome you to this week's webinar titled Using the Wheel of Health to Maximize Your Wellbeing. This webinar will discuss Duke's Wheel of Health model and explore the components of your well-being and learn to make adjustments when necessary. This is a mind-body-spirit connection to enhance and empower your overall health. Before we begin, if this is your first time joining us, Cancer Support Community Los Angeles is a premier nonprofit organization providing vital social and emotional support to families facing cancer, including patients, caregivers, and their loved ones, all at no cost. Our programs include support groups, healthy lifestyle classes, social activities, and educational programs such as this one. If you'd like to learn more about services or watch past webinars, please visit our website at www.cancersupportla.org. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome today's speaker. Kelly Cunningham is a national certified counselor, licensed clinical professional counselor, certified health and well-being coach through Duke Integrative Medicine. She is a holistic health practitioner and has been a psychology professor for undergraduate studies at the University of Cincinnati. Her unique style includes a therapeutic foundation along with training in integrative health and executive coaching, allowing her to tailor solutions for each individual. Welcome, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here.
Thank you. So the floor is all yours.
All right. Let me get this all pulled up. All right. There we go. All right. So again, I'm so glad to be here. My name is Kelly Cunningham, and I look forward to sharing this time together today. And thank you guys for having me so much. At the end, I will be sharing, as she said, my contact information. So if we don't get to something, or you would rather have a private conversation about something, feel free to contact me afterwards. So let's just jump right into the Wheel of Health here and have our first look. Again, she had shared that I was a therapist and a Duke wellness coach, and I got certified with Duke probably back in 2010. And I just really love this one particular tool that they use with almost all of their clients that they work with. And you can personalize this. And as you can see, it's really a whole person view of health and wellness. And that's what I think is so great about a lot of the work that Duke Integrative does too, is just really looking at the whole person. Because sometimes I think in healthcare, we can start to focus on the symptoms and forget that there is a whole person there that has hopes and dreams and families and friends and all the other things that make up who we are. And so I love that this is a great way to use this with everybody. And this is for caregivers. This is for somebody that may be in the beginning of a cancer journey or at the end of their cancer journey. And so this is really just for everybody today, for us just to take a minute and look at all the ways that make us well and how we can heal our bodies and our minds as well. So let's just start in the middle of the Wheel of Health. And I'm going to do a quick overview, and then we're going to dive deep into all 6 of those little petal areas that you see, and talk a little bit about all of the different areas in more detail. But let's start in the middle, and you'll see that it says you and mindful awareness. And that's really what today is about, is taking a minute and looking at all the different ways that make us healthy. And we have nutrition and lifestyle. We have our mental and emotional well-being. You see fulfillment and purpose. And I'll be talking about our spiritual life there and gratitude practices. You also see physical activity and movement. We see sleep and rest. And then also just our physical environment, what is around us and our homes and our lifestyles in that sort of area. So we're going to dive deep into all of these today, and then you'll notice at the top part, or all around the wheel of health, is community. And I think that's such an important part in taking care of ourselves and our overall health and wellness is our community. And that is part of being here today. That's your family, that's your friends, your healthcare workers, your doctors, your massage therapist, all of the people that help make you and whole, and just help us get through this life together. So we know that community, particularly when we're having a health crisis, is so vitally important. And that's why they have it circling it sort of around all of the different parts of ourselves. So let's look a little bit more here at these 6 particular areas. And you'll see that I want you to take a minute and think about, just by glancing at these ideas, what are your strengths and where do you think you might have some challenges at right now? They may be new challenges I have on here. In the past, maybe you haven't dealt with depression and anxiety, and all of a sudden that's a part of your life right now. Or maybe your physicians are asking you to do a different kind of diet right now to support your body, and that's a real challenge. Or you've been using movement and exercise as a way to deal with stress and anxiety, and you're not able to do what you used to be able to do. So maybe there's some new challenges in this season of life, and maybe there's just some things that have always been hard. Like sleep has always been a rough thing for me. So maybe we have some new things, and maybe we have some old things that are just some challenges. And hopefully today I'll give you some little tips and tricks to kind of boost particular areas for yourself. And then I also want you to think about your strengths. What's going really well right now? What have you got a good handle on and that you're proud of, and that things are going and good for you? And maybe you want to add a little more to that, or just to be able to maintain some of those particular areas. And the other part of the wheel of health that I think is just so vital is that we know these all play off of each other. So when we are, getting our sleep and rest, we probably are maybe eating better, and we have that energy to work out. When we are feeling at our best with our emotions, and our relationships are in a good place, our spiritual life or our gratitude probably is also high as well. So we know that these all balance off of each other. And it's not that they all need to be in balance at the same time. I think that that's unrealistic. And I think that in certain seasons of our life, different parts need more attention. So we're just going to kind of look at these, decide which ones we want to pay a little bit more attention to, and dive deep here into some of these. I want to start with nutrition and lifestyle. Mainly this lifestyle idea. Let's talk about that first. Wanting you to feel empowered in your health and wellness lifestyle right now, and enhancing all the ways of healing your body. And that may be obviously conventional medicine, that might be massage or acupuncture or Tai Chi. There may be a mindset shift that's been happening for you right now. What do I think about wellness? What do I think about health? How do I want to take care of my body during this particular time, whether I'm going through a journey or I'm helping somebody else with that right now? What sort of ideas and things I've been challenged with lately? And then what actions come behind that? What do I want to do about this information that I'm gathering? What do I want to do with this time of my life right now? What actions and behaviors need to happen behind that? Because we know that once we get a bunch of information, we've got to figure out what to do with it then. So that is really what today is all about, is maybe having a little bit of a mind shift on some things and thinking about things in a little different way. I have some places where I'll ask you some questions that might, get you thinking about things in a little different way. So you might want to take some notes on that or jot some things down as we go through. And then at the end, I'm going to ask you to kind of think, what is your plan? What kind of actions do you want to come from today? And hopefully, maybe you're watching with a loved one, or maybe you could talk with someone after this talk is over and share some of the things that you were thinking about and maybe just some new habits that you want to add in. So nutrition, I'm not going to talk specifically about a particular diet or suggestions in that way, because I think everybody's in such a different position. And different cancers, involve different sorts of nutrition. And so I'm not going to necessarily focus on a particular diet, but to mainly say, is this part of your team? Nutrition and nourishing your body right now with all the macronutrients, carbs, fats, proteins, vitamins, the antioxidants, all of those things are so important and can be really helpful in managing some symptoms that you might be having or repairing the body. So whatever it is that your physicians have, asked you to follow or to maybe to work on, do you have a dietitian? A registered dietitian is always a great person to have as part of your team, that she or he specializes in helping food really nourish the body and repair the body at this kind of time. So maybe your physician has some resources within their own group to help you with that. This particular community has lots of old videos and new videos and people coming up that are going to be talking about food and taking care of yourself in that sort of way, and gut health and all those sorts of things. So utilizing this community as well. Again, we're talking about that outer wheel of all of the people that make up this journey for us right now. Balancing your blood sugar, I have that highlighted there too. That's just about really trying to keep things steady state throughout our body and not having these big swings up and down. And that's really about, letting our body stay as stable and consistent as possible throughout our day, because we're already doing so much healing and work in the body. The body is working so hard right now in this fight. And so anything that we can do to help make it easier on the body is really what we're looking for. So again, I really encourage you to have somebody that specializes in this, that's a part of your team. I will give one little suggestion of one of the latest books that I've read and recommended to some people, Eat to Beat Disease by Dr. William Li. He has a very large social media presence. If you would like to check him out, he talks a lot about, he's a very research-oriented physician and talks about what types of foods can be helpful in all different areas, whether it's cancer care, mood balance, arthritis, lung health, heart health, what kinds of foods and how much of those foods to have in your diet on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So if you're looking for something to kind of supplement or to talk with a dietitian about, Eat to Beat Disease might be a book that you want to look into. All right, let's move to sleep and rest. Sleep and rest. Now, this might be one of those areas that is maybe asking for a little extra care right now. Maybe this is one of those areas that is in that new challenges or that challenging part. And we know, however, though, that it is so important to be getting good, healthy rest and sleep. So if, on the other hand, maybe this is going well, you're taking naps during the day, you're getting rest at night, and everything is going really well. And so to that, I would say, keep doing what you're doing. Listen to your body and keep doing what you're doing. But if this is one of those areas of a challenge, I have some ideas that maybe could help. The first one that I'll start with is this idea of a bedtime routine. We give our kids a bedtime routine at night, and we say, it's time to take a bath or time to put on our PJs and brush our teeth and get into bed and crawl into bed and snuggle and maybe read a book, trying to help them unwind from the day, right? Slowing things down and unwinding from the day. And as adults, we forget that we could also benefit from a bedtime routine. So anything that starts to tell your body the same thing, it's time to relax, it's time to slow down. I'm not solving any more of today's problems. It's time to unwind. And so that might mean the same thing for you, taking a warm bath, taking a hot shower. Maybe it's a cup of tea, maybe it's some light stretching at night or a little bit of reading. But having some sort of bedtime routine to start to tell the body it's time to unwind, it's time to slow down. That can be really, really beneficial if that's something that you're not doing already. Another suggestion would be sunlight at first rising. So if you can get some natural sunlight and in the first 30 minutes of waking, it can be very beneficial to start off those hormones of waking us up and getting us going. Sometimes cortisol gets a bad rap, but we need cortisol in the morning to get our bodies going and to rev up our systems. And so having that natural sunlight in the mornings and taking that in can be really, really helpful to make that happen. And we're blessed here in Southern California to almost always have sunlight in the morning. So really taking advantage of that, because it not only helps us in the morning, but it tells our body to get on a schedule, and that at 16 to 18 hours, whatever our day might be, later, we want to produce some melatonin at night. So that sunlight says cortisol in the morning, and then it gets us on schedule for what would be happening in the evening, and to send those nighttime hormones like melatonin to get us going in the evening. So it's really about balancing out our circadian rhythm. Sometimes physicians will talk about if you go overseas, that the best way to kind of get on their time zone is to wake up, get the natural sunlight, and that kind of helps set the body of, okay, now it's wait time, and then that will be rest time. This is the same kind of idea. So that can be really helpful in the morning, whether it's maybe walking around with your coffee in the backyard or taking your dog for a walk, first thing in the morning, but getting that sunlight first thing in the morning. Again, if you're having naps during the day and sleeping well at night, this does not pertain to you. But if you're struggling, really limiting those naps to 20 minutes, really just having a little power nap throughout the day, and really trying to get that in before 2 o'clock can really, really be helpful of increasing that sleep drive for the evening. And so that may mean for a couple of days, you're really fighting wanting to take more naps or a nap during the day, but really trying to push that off, to push that sleep drive to happen more at night than during the day. Sticking to a schedule of waking up about the same time every day and then going to sleep about the same time every day. And this is like, maybe within like a 30-minute window on both sides. But this is really helpful for every day of the week, because I know sometimes if we've had a rough week and it comes Saturday or Sunday and we're trying to make up for that sleep, we sleep in a couple of extra hours and we feel like that's going to be helpful, but it really gets us off schedule. And it's actually kind of putting your body in a jet lag kind of place every weekend. So using the travel example again, if you have to go to Chicago for work or you have family in the central time zone and you go and visit and you have that 2-hour difference, it takes a couple of days to get your body back going of like, okay, when am I going to sleep? When am I supposed to wake up? The same thing happens on the weekends, that if you are putting yourself in jet lag every weekend by sleeping 2 hours late, then during the week, it's taking the whole week to kind of get you back on track again. And then you have the weekend and you're sleeping in late again. It's this perpetual cycle. So really trying to say, this is my wake time, this is my sleep time, and really trying to stick to that no matter what day of the week it is. Aware of information coming in. I think this is a common one that we talk about. But really important. Maybe the 10, 11 o'clock news, is not really part of that bedtime routine. Maybe that's not really the best time to be taking new information in. Just being really aware of any of the information, whether it's on the internet and you're scrolling through or whatever it might be. But really, we want to be taking calming things going on, not things that are sort of revving us back up and then expecting ourselves to be restful and sleep. And then the last one, I really love this one. This is actually from a Duke a sleep specialist, and her suggestion was building a nest, she calls it, for awake times during the night. And this is for those of us that might be waking up at 1 or 2 in the morning, tossing and turning, can't get back to sleep for a couple of hours and looking at the clock and, oh my gosh, now it's 3 hours I have to get up. Now it's 2 hours I have to get up. And that sort of perpetualness of not helping us go back to sleep, right? So having this idea of a nest, and this is a place that you have already set up in your house that maybe is your favorite chair or a comfy little chair or part of the couch cushion at night, where you have your blanket set up, you have a comfy pillow, you have maybe your journal there, a book, needlepoint. Some people use that at night, a dim light so that you can see, but it's not too alarming to the body. Sometimes people will use adult coloring books, anything just to kind of help soothe and calm you and just let you be in a cozy little spot until you feel sleepy again, and then return to bed to go to sleep. Now, some people say that they end up falling asleep in their little nest, and that's okay too, right? Because the whole goal is to go back to sleep. But getting up and out of bed and not doing that tossing and turning and watching the clock for the 2 hours, that's not working for you. So really having this little nest area can be really, really helpful. And I wanted to also use this time to talk about rest and stillness and meditation. And this goes a little bit into some of the mind body emotional kind of part of things. So like I said, they all interact with each other, right? But I did want to talk about meditation and just having these quiet moments, because really anything that calms the mind is calming the body down as well. And the more we can calm our nervous systems down and our bodies down, the more they're able to function and do all the other things that we're asking them to do right now. So a calmer nervous system lowers our blood pressure, it decreases our heart rate, it steadies our breathing, releases that muscle tension, and also increases our focus. And there are so many different ways of doing meditation or mindfulness meditation. Sometimes people will call it that. I'm sure you've seen different apps, or there are so many videos on YouTube of different meditations you could do. I have a couple on my website that I've recorded that you could try. Anything to help, just like I said, slow the mind down, which in turn is slowing that body down too. Now, if the meditation thing is like, it's not really my thing, Kelly, even just having 5 minutes of breathing, just noticing your breath can be really, really beneficial. And I love to do these before, encouraging clients to do these before a big talk or, a phone call they're going to have, before a surgery, before a treatment, before a doctor's appointment, anything that you start to feel yourself kind of getting revved up, just to notice your breathing. So let's just do that together for a few minutes here. I want you to put your hand, on your belly or, down below on your ribs. I think sometimes the tactileness of just feeling your belly kind of expand and contract can be helpful. And I just want you to take a few breaths, nice, slow, deep breaths. And my favorite is to breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth. And sometimes you'll have that kind of sigh that comes out with it. That's just your body responding to slowing down. So taking another few breaths. And one more together. And that's just maybe 3 or 4 breaths together, right? And you can already feel a little bit of that quietness, that calmness to the body. It really does not take much to have that anxiety or stress really start to slow down and your nervous system to really immediately respond to that. So having 5 minutes a day or listening to a meditation, there's some meditations that are 5 minutes, that are 20 minutes. It doesn't matter, whichever one fits best for you and your time schedule. But trying to have a few moments of that throughout the day just to help lower things down and to calm the nervous system a little bit. All right. So mental and emotional well-being. So really trying to deal with stress and really thinking about what are the ways that I deal with stress. Some of that might be some mindfulness meditation and really taking some time out just to breathe. Some of that might be movement. Some of that might be journaling. Some of that might be calling a friend. This would also be my time to encourage you to be working with a therapist or some kind of coach or having a support group that you can really rely on right now. I think being able to fully be yourself and to not always have to have the filter on. I call it sometimes having the filter on of having to say, oh, I wonder if I can say this to them, or can I really share this, or can I be completely open about this? Sometimes we feel like we have to, and we do, sometimes we do have to have that filter on, but I want you to be sure right now that you're having people in your life that you don't have to have the filter on. And that's where sometimes a therapist or a coach or a support group where it's just for you, and you don't have to have all those barriers up. Are you withdrawing or letting other people help? This is such an important time to really be letting others help, and withdrawing and feeling like you have to do it all on your own is just not helpful right now. Just not helpful. So really thinking about, how am I managing my stress? Is that working for me? And do I want to make some changes there? If you want to make some changes, of course, the meditation that I talked about, talking with a therapist, I think journaling can be a really, really helpful tool during this time, and really try to help calm the mind. So again, anything we can do to help calm the mind calms the body as well. If you think about journaling as, oh, if somebody says like, oh, tells you a date, it'd be like, oh, let's get together on this day. Well, let me write that down. If I don't write it down, I'll forget. Well, journaling is kind of like that, because when your brain has to think about and to write out whatever it is that you're thinking, that brain activity really helps release that stress, really helps release the body of ruminating and going over and over and over whatever the worry or stress or concern is in the brain. So just like when you write down the date, so you won't forget it. This is the same kind of idea about journaling, writing it down, letting the brain process it in a different way to be able to help let it go. So I really, really would encourage you. This is not grammar. This is not, this is just a place where you can write. I'll call it a mind dump. You just write whatever it is that you're thinking. I promise if you try this 3 or 4 times this week, I promise you will have a relief by just writing it out and just letting it go. You don't have to share it with anybody or look back at it. Just write it and let it out and let it go. Energy givers versus energy drainers. This is about relationships. So when I think of an energy giver, energy drainers, I think about when the phone rings and I pick it up and I look at it, and do I say, oh, yay, Susie's calling me right now? Or do I say, oh no, Susie again? I want you to have more opportunities of, oh, yay, Susie's calling me today. I want you to be surrounding yourself with energy givers, people that just lift you up. You feel positive after you've had your interaction with them. They just make you feel good. I want you to have more interactions like that and less of the energy drainers. Now, I know sometimes energy drainers might be people in your family, and we can't just eliminate those people. Like maybe you can eliminate maybe certain time that you spend with friends that are energy drainers. And if there's somebody in your family that's causing, great upheaval right now, again, back to the therapist, back to the coach, back to that support group, having somebody to really help you out with that right now as you're going through all of the things that are happening. So really trying to focus on who is getting my energy? Who do I give my energy? Who do I give my time to? And how are they making me feel with that? So really paying attention to those relationships right now. I've talked about the community and not being isolated. I can't say that enough. I think that's so important right now. Really finding your power in this process. There's so many things that we don't have control over. And yet you do have control over quite a bit. You have control over who you spend time with. You have control over what you put in your body. You have control over going to your appointments or not, who you reach out to, who you don't reach out to. So really trying to find, where do I have control and where do I have my own choices? And am I utilizing those to the best of my ability right now? And then the last thing I would say is really separating yourself from the illness. You are not cancer. You may have cancer, but that is not all of who you are. You have other roles in your life. You have other dreams. You have other hopes. You have other hobbies. You have all these other parts of you. And so I want to just remind you today to give all those other parts of you energy and passion and time as well, and not to just be focused on just the diagnosis right now. And I know that that is probably easier said than done, depending on where you're at in this journey right now. But really trying to just remind yourself that there is so much more about me than just this. Because when sometimes we get into a high stress place in life, things get very narrow focused, right? We just get really laser focused and we kind of forget all the other things. And so this is just your reminder today that there's so many other parts of you that need attention and love and support and care too. Sometimes I'll say it's the hot air balloon look, so really kind of having that bigger picture right now so that you don't miss and you don't forget all of the parts right now. So maybe remembering that hot air balloon vision sometimes throughout your day as well. All right. Let's go to fulfillment and purpose. Again, this is going to be where I talk about spiritual life and nature, gratitude. If you don't have a gratitude practice, this would be a really great time to get one started. And this is a really simple exercise. Really, it's just about saying by the end of the day, I want to be able to come up with 3 things that I'm grateful for. And you can either write them in your journal, or you could share them with your family and friends. Sometimes I'll ask clients to have this as a family exercise in the evening, that everybody shares 3 things they're grateful for. Now, I'm not talking about big, drastic things that I'm grateful for. I'm talking about, I saw this sweet little hummingbird that was just eating away on one of my plants this morning, and it was just so cute, and she was just fluttering away. And maybe my little puppy did something so sweet, or I got to see Diane on my walk today and I hadn't seen her in a week and it was so nice to see her. These are the little sweet moments throughout your day, and then reflecting on those in the evening. And the great thing about this is all day long, I know that I'm either going to be writing it down or I'm going to be sharing it with somebody of my 3 things I'm grateful for. So it really changes my outlook all day long, because I'm scanning and looking for what are my 3 things going to be that day. So it really is, again, about a mindset shift, or really about thinking about things in a different way and looking for the 3 things that I'm grateful for all day long can really, really change the outlook on your day. The gratitude practice, times of meditating, praying, take a walk in nature, again, calming the nervous system, reduces inflammation in the body, which increases our immune system function. So we're really continuing to work on that mind-body connection and really trying to get the most of our body right now. reading inspirational books, attending services for hope and peace. So whether that's through a church or a synagogue or any formal practice that you may be doing, I think even being a regular here in this community is also going to be building hope and peace throughout your days and your weeks. Having your therapy appointments, your support groups, anything that is just really building you up. Those are those energy giver people, spending more time with them. Anything that's building hope and peace right now has just got to be in the schedule. It's got to make it in your plan for the week. Listening to music. Gosh, we've all had that experience where music just kind of takes us in a different place and can transport us into a different kind of feeling and feeling in our bodies even. So if the house is too quiet, sometimes turn on some music, really kind of just changing that mood a little bit for yourself, seeking activities where you check your phone less, whether that's, gardening or taking a walk purposely without your phone, just to kind of listen to the birds singing as you're outside. So really trying to just kind of tap into this part of, where is my inspiration? Where am I finding meaning in life right now? To kind of give you some of these questions here. Maybe you journal about them. Maybe you, talk with a trusted friend or somebody else that you're working with. Are you letting others see the real you? And not having to monitor that all the time, just really being able to relax and spend time with people that you can be your full self with. Would it be helpful to be outside a little bit more? Again, we're so blessed to be in such a beautiful part of the country that, although it is still so warm out there again today, but normally being outside and being able to enjoy all of the wonderful views that we have and having our breath taken away by a gorgeous sunset, hopefully again tonight. And that last question is one of my favorites, I think, of when does my heart feel the most full? Let me think about that. Like, when was the last time I just, had such a full heart and went to bed that evening, just feeling so grateful and so loved and so supported, and who was I with and what was I doing and how can I make that happen again? And, really kind of looking at all of those things of filling our heart up and connecting to your heart during this time, I think can be really, really beneficial. And it might be healing old relationship wounds or, letting go of some things that just have been holding you back that just really don't matter and maybe did in the past that really don't now. So this may be a lot of letting go. This may be full of forgiveness for yourself, for someone else. So there's a lot of different things that could be happening if this is one of the areas that you really want to focus on and really spend some time with. So hopefully you can take some of those questions and look at some of that more. And I really encourage you, there's a great book, The Gratitude Diaries, if you want to look into something else for a gratitude practice. I love that book. And it talks about finding gratitude in sort of all the different areas of your life, in your marriage, with your children, with your grandchildren, in hobbies, and finding new things in life. And so The Gratitude Diaries, great book. I would recommend that one as well. All right. Physical activity and fitness. Okay. Gosh, we all know that this is an important part of our wellness, right? We all know that it's good to move our bodies. It's so helpful in relieving stress and anxiety and depression. And I'll remind you, if you haven't heard of the numerous studies and that continue to agree with this over and over with these many, many studies that are out there, that a regular exercise program for some people can be just as beneficial, if not more, than taking antidepressants. So there are some great things that we know that happen with regular movement and regular exercise for our body, balancing our blood sugar, our muscle strength, being outside is always helpful when we're trying to, get some of that natural vitamin D and encourage all of that when we're exercising too, increasing our energy, definitely improving our sleep if you're having struggles with that again. But really, any getting those good endorphins going in our brains is so helpful, and just kind of working out maybe some of that stress and anxiety. And I'm not talking about it has to be weightlifting, or it has to be, whatever, it can be anything that's moving your body. And depending on where you're at in your journey right now, that might be walking around the house, that might be going outside and finding a nice little place outside on your patio or in your backyard to just to sit outside and listen to the birds for a little bit. It could be physical therapy and following through and doing those exercises at home as well. It could be yoga, chair yoga, or, just walks. It could be gaining strength back and doing some weight training. So whatever it is of where you're at right now, just making sure that this part is getting some attention, right? We want to make sure that movement is getting some attention. And this is one of those areas that you can really kind of combine some of those parts of the wheel of health, particularly the social part of, asking a friend to join, and having that social interaction and being able to be outside and still getting a walk in as well. So bringing that community piece back in can be really helpful during this too. And it also just helps us stay accountable, right? Sometimes if exercise and movement is just not your thing, you're just more likely to do it if you have a buddy. And I think that can be really great. There's a lot of great things on this community as well. So I would encourage you to look at all the different things that they offer too. So if you don't want to leave your house, that there's, so many different things that you could be doing to just try and get that blood flowing and moving the body, and just really kind of clearing your head using that with exercise and movement. Okay, physical environment. Now, sometimes people would say, gosh, it's kind of a odd one to kind of have for your health and wellness. But, if you think about it, anything that brightens our mood and calms the body and really calms the mind, is really helpful for our overall health. And so this might be about organization. This might be about taking an inventory of what kind of cleaning supplies that you use in your house, or air filters, or things like that. It could just be like, how could I just take, 10 minutes and put all of the important paperwork that I'm getting right now, put it all together and, start keeping it in one place, or, cleaning off my nightstand and having a nice, clean, organized place at night. So when I do come to bed, it feels organized and relaxed, and all the clutter isn't making me more sort of anxious and, jittery that, there's just something else to do. I bet in 10 minutes, you could really tidy up one particular area. And this could also be about building your nest too. I think about that with that physical environment, building your nest, whether or not you're having issues with sleep, even having a little place during the day that you can cozy up to. Or again, maybe finding a little place outside, finding a little chair that you can have a little nest outside to be able to, utilize that just fresh, clean air and clearing your head outside too. So that might be, another thing that you could do. Blankets in the right place, our favorite scents and oils, all that, it seems like such a little thing, but really can really yield big results. Fresh flowers, having something, inside is always just so nice to brighten things up. Music, letting the light in. Gosh, sometimes when we're feeling depressed and hopeless and it's just not a good day, it's just like sometimes the house just starts to feel dark, right? So, really making that conscious effort of opening the blinds, letting the light in. We already know it's helpful for our circadian rhythm and really kind of help balancing the body in that way. So letting that light in and being able to see the green in the trees and the birds flying around. I think that can just be really, really important, and might seem like a small thing, like I said, but really can just help. Like, it feels better when I open my fridge and I can see all the good food that I have just bought, to help nourish my body, and I can see all the things that are in there, so just taking a few minutes to take one little section at a time, maybe, to help you feel just more organized and more relaxed in your own physical environment in your own home. Okay. Wow. So we went through all of the different areas. I probably gave you lots and lots of, hopefully, lots of things to at least think about. And again, how they all really kind of interact off of each other, right? So we know that, again, that, when we're feeling rested, we're more likely to want to move during the day. We're also probably more likely to reach out to other people when we're feeling rested. And we have that extra space in our brain to call and talk with somebody or check in with somebody, and make a decision about our nutrition and eating well. Because when we're tired, sometimes we just want the comfort food and things that maybe aren't so great on the tummy right now. So these are all interacting with each other. And again, having that community all around you is so important. If there's anything that you take away from today, is that you just don't have to do it alone, that there's so many people and ways to be supported out there, that are even outside of your own family and friends, that we really want you to be able to take advantage of. So this is the time to really think about, okay, what are my next steps here? What do I want to do with all of this? Maybe there were only a couple of things that you thought that would probably be helpful, or I know that I heard her say it. I already knew that, but I haven't been following through. So take a minute and just think, like, what would be the next steps? How could you implement some of these things into your daily life, into your weekly life? Would it be helpful to reach out to a friend and say, hey, will you walk with me a couple of times this week? Or would you go to the grocery store with me? Or will you go to the doctor with me? I have an appointment. Or, will you come sit with me after a treatment? Whatever it might be. What would be your next steps? Who else do you need to be a part of this team for you to facilitate this healing that's happening in your body right now? Who else needs to be a part of that team for you? What are those next steps going to be? I want you to be able to, have some action steps behind that for yourself. And then this is my information, my email address, my website. Has got different links on there of social media if you want to connect with me in that way, or directly you can connect with me on my website through email, or just email me directly there. Reaching out if there's not, we have some time for some question and answer right now, but if we don't get to your question, or you, like I said, you'd rather have me personally answer something, I would love to be able to help, and just feel honored to be here with you all today and to be sharing this information, and just wish you all the healing and support that you might be needing right now. So thank you very much. Do you want me to leave that up for now?
Yeah, I actually put your information as well in the chat. So if you guys are looking to contact Kelly directly, I did put her information in the chat. And thank you so much for all this information. I think it's such a great resource for our community, especially because, sometimes you want to do these things, but you don't know exactly how to start, or like great ideas. So yeah, I'm just going to give people a few minutes if you guys have any questions for us, but I did want to let you know, as Kelly mentioned, that this is being recorded and this will be up in our video library in a few weeks. It's also up on Facebook Live. So, you could go ahead and rewatch it as many times there before the video actually goes on our website. But yeah, thank you, Kelly, so much for all the information. I think we did get somebody who said, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think everybody loved it. Honestly, it was, even for me, like, it was just something that's very, like I said, like, you want to start some of these things, like the gratitude journal and things like that.
Yes.
But sometimes, life gets in the way, but you gave really great examples as to, how you can actually integrate them into your life without it being like too time consuming. Everyone's about time.
Absolutely. And you know what? Just pick one thing, right? You don't do all of the things. So even if we got a lot of things stirred up, just pick one and say, I'm just going to do the gratitude journal this week, or I'm just going to focus on walks this week, or I'm going to do the food, like that, doing it all. That's the thing, like that's not going to work. That doesn't stick, so just pick one thing that you feel like that would be an easy win. If you can just get an easy win and get a little momentum, then you're like, okay, then I'll tackle the other bigger stuff later. But let's just get something easy in right now and just pick one. And like I said, sometimes it's stuff that you've already heard and we already know, but it's just so good to hear it again and to feel like, yes, I could do this. It's really just that empowerment of, I can't just do one thing, I can't add that in this week. And so hopefully that settles in.
Yeah, definitely. And we did get a few questions that came in. So the first one says, does it help to tell more people, like coworkers or less people, about what I'm going through?
Yes. And I think, that is such an individualized thing if it depending on, really what kind of work that you're doing and how close you are with people. But if you're missing work or if you are, having some, that you would like to have a little extra grace going on, I think that it is more than okay to share with some close colleagues to say, and you don't even have to share all of the information, right? You may just share a little portion of it, kind of see how that feels. And then if you wanted to share more, then you could share more later on. But I do think, definitely letting, your boss know, again, these are individualized, decisions for your particular work life. But I think that I would really consider letting, some key people know so that you can also give yourself the grace. So if you need an afternoon or you need a morning or you're off a lot and you also don't feel like you're hiding and kind of, having to, not be as honest as maybe you normally would. So really trying to figure out what feels best for me. How can I be honest in this situation without sharing everything? Because you can always share more later. It's just hard to take it back if once you've shared. So I would say little bits at a time, and then continue to judge sort of how that goes and go forward then.
Okay, that's great. And then the next question says, do you have any suggestions on support groups for dealing with people or family members who are energy drainers?
Energy drainers. I mean, isn't that just the truth? Like when you pick up the phone and like you see that person, you're like, oh no, not again.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any support groups? Is that what the question was?
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions on support groups for dealing with family members?
So I think that, anything that's helping you have healthy boundaries and being able to talk about just self-care in general. So, that may be a variety of different sort of, things to listen to, within this community. I don't know of like a particular place. I would think that any kind of support group, you're going to be able to be sharing some of your own personal things. That's why I think that therapist time and, coach or whoever it is, can be really helpful. If you would like to email me and you want to share a little bit more about some of that, I could maybe give some suggestions on different books to read or different resources in that sort of way. So if there's like a particular way that they're really draining, I could probably help kind of guide you in that sort of way. But I would just really say, where are my boundaries at? Because boundaries are really about helping you stay healthy and not having to take care of that person all the time. So anything that's supporting you, a place where you're able to share and get information, getting your own feelings out can kind of help you deal maybe a little bit more with what they're going through. So again, reach out to me separately, individually, and I can maybe help give you some specific books or different things to look at.
Yeah.
Energy drainers are a hard one. And particularly when you have a health crisis and all this other stuff going on, it's just like, I cannot right now. I just can't deal with one more thing. So really trying to figure out, is that a person I can say that I need to, spend less time or just not call often or not answer every phone call or not text back every time?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some things there that you may be able to have some, feel empowered to not have to always say yes to them.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah. And then, as Kelly mentioned, all our support groups, they're a great way to even ask that question, because there's people who might be going through the same thing that you are, and they can also give you suggestions. So any way that you can release that is great. But I also put Kelly's information again in the chat if you guys are interested to contact her directly. And I want to thank you again so much, Kelly, for this presentation. I think it's, like I said, a great resource for our community. I'm glad it's being recorded so we can see it over and over again. And thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you for everybody joining us today.
Yes, so glad to be here. It was an honor to talk with you all and to be a part of your great community. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And